Welcome back to the Ponca City Monthly Podcast. I'm Andy, your host, and we're halfway through the month of September. Can't believe that. I keep thinking we're in August, but we're in September. How's allergies been affecting you? It's been crazy for me. It's been a wild week for all of us. This is one of our new series that we're doing. The Greenwood Aerospace Group supports the Northern Oklahoma Humane Society, and they have graciously created this podcast or this series so that we can interview people from the Humane Society or from the Northern Oklahoma Humane Society and talk to them and promote that and talk about dogs and fun things like that. So today I have with me Justin, who is the executive director. Mm-hmm. Your title changes from time to time.
I know. Listen, the title doesn't matter. Regardless, I'm doing the work. So whatever you want to call me, I don't really care.
You're the guy that has to, the buck stops with you, as they say.
Basically. I'm the one that shows up, in that aspect, I guess.
Yeah. So how are things going today?
Well, that's a loaded question, so thank you. As you mentioned, things are crazy for everybody. So things have been crazy. Today, I guess what I could talk about is the fact that I am the executive director currently for the Humane Society, but I also own Paws and the Pavement. So I'm juggling between both jobs because I'm very passionate about both, obviously. And that's just kind of where I am today.
Sure.
And so I'm here as a representative of Northern Oklahoma Humane Society to just kind of talk about, where we are as an organization and what our needs are. Just glad to be here.
Nice. Something that, we've talked about, or Kelsey and I have talked about in the past, is like, it just seemed like summer, like nobody was doing something. And then as soon as as soon as we got to August, September, it was like everybody just sort of woke up and was like, hey, let's get back to work.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's been a little
back to school, back to work, all the things.
Did you have a busy summer or?
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, I did. Again, I'm juggling between both positions. So, thankfully, I have people who work for me who are amazing at Paws on the Pavement. So they were able to help me in, not being drowning, doing both. But yeah, summer was definitely busy. People are on vacation, getting that last hurrah out before school starts.
Sure.
So,
I can see that.
Yeah, definitely busy. And, as we move into school at the Humane Society, we are kicking off our internship program with Ponca City High School.
Oh, nice.
So that has been something that I've been planning so that we can have a more structured program so that the students that are really interested in working with animals really take away a lot. Because working with animals is a lot. It's not just, loving on puppies and kittens.
Sure.
That is the fun part, but that's not all the work. So, really giving them in-depth training and experience is what I saw was kind of missing from that program. So it's been something that I've been focused on lately. I don't know, kind of getting off on a tangent, but that's kind of what I have been focused on recently at the shelter, among all the things. But yeah.
I guess for you, for Kelsey and I, we were talking because we're business people, everybody takes summer vacation, but I guess for you, summer vacation is your busy time.
Literally. I mean, honestly, I don't feel like, I'm not aware of holidays. I don't see them as holidays anymore.
Sure.
It's just work,
It's just
really.
work.
So it's kind of a different paradigm shift, really, especially I worked in retail. So, it's just wild. But honestly, I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Because, I get to be, I don't know. I don't know that I could say I'm more in control of my time, but time does not seem to be a limitation for me because I'm not kept to those kind of schedules. Sure. If that makes sense.
Yeah. You have a more flexible schedule, so it allows you to do more of the fun things that you like to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Within reason.
So tell me, how did you get involved with the Humane Society, the Northern I want to keep saying that because we made a distinction in the last one. There is a big difference between the Humane Society and the parent group.
Yes.
And because you guys are separate from them.
Right. So
that's why, if you're wondering why I keep making the distinction, that's why. I don't want you to be confused and think that they're part of the Humane Society because they're not.
Right. We are not a part of the umbrella, organization of the National Humane Society.
Right.
We are our own entity, and we are a 501c3 that is solely dependent on our community's support. So we don't get funding from them in any way. So, all of the things that we're able to do is a direct reflection of our support from the community.
Sure. So yeah, tell me a little bit about how you got involved with that.
Yeah. So I started my business, Paws on the Pavement. It was just really intended to be something, part-time. I used to deal blackjack at Osage Casino, and when they closed the tables, which is what I was doing, my personal pet, Luna, she was having seizures. So I wanted to, the next job I wanted to be flexible. So, our groomer at the time, Hayes Grooming, those ladies out there, I talked to them about, is there a need for having a dog walker or any sort of service like that? And kind of had that conversation and just kind of snowballed into doing it. And word of mouth really grew my business. But I also wanted to spend my free time around animals. So I thought to volunteer at the Humane Society. And so I grew up in Ponca City and I graduated 2003. And the director at the time was Ashley Valines. And she and I, went to McCord School together. We have a long history of knowing each other. I can't remember, maybe we were 7th grade. She was my date to the 7th grade dance or something like that.
That's awesome.
Which, I didn't realize she was the director at the time because I had just moved back from Dallas in 2019. Sorry, I ramble, but long story short, she was the director. I sent an email interested in volunteering. We reconnected and I got involved that way. As I was spending time there, I could see that they, needed some volunteer support with skills. So I started helping with social media, walking dogs, things like that. And I just kind of, never stopped. And they asked me to be on the board. I joined the board in 2021, I think. Mm-hmm. And I've been on the board since. I became the board president. And, currently we are without a director. So I was doing that in the interim. And, at this point, I'm like, I'm doing it. So
that's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
The person that steps up to the plate to do the work, right?
Yeah, exactly. Somebody's got to do it. And I'm very passionate about it. And I want, I see how vital this organization is to our community. And, having, how do I say this? It needs strong leadership in order to be sustainable. And currently, there's no one else. And so I'm there. And I really want to get the shelter sustainable because without it, our community will be overrun with animals. And, we set the expectation of our community standard. And animal welfare is part of that.
Sure.
And so it definitely needs to be a focus. So,
it's fun that you were talking about leadership because you were just inducted into the leadership class. Was it 38 or 39?
39.
39.
Yes.
How does that feel?
Well, obviously it's a great experience for sure. It just makes me think 39, I'm 40. Wow. Then my age comes into factor, but that's
just wait till it's 50.
That's a whole nother conversation, but I am honored, honestly.
Yeah.
When my friend Ashley Miller suggested that I do it, I was apprehensive because, it's another thing. And my schedule is literally beyond busy. But, I understand the opportunity that it is for me to grow as a leader. And so I kind of just went with it. And it's been a great experience. We did our retreat 2 weeks ago, mm-hmm. which, that in itself was mind-blowing. And the fact that I genuinely feel like I'm walking away with 25 amazing friends is like, I couldn't ask for a better experience. Sure. So, yeah, I'm really excited to be a part of that group and to learn about the history of Ponca City. I grew up here, but, we just had our history day yesterday, and it's amazing to understand where we as a community came from, mm-hmm. Good, bad, and ugly. Regardless, we're here. And as leaders, what do we do with that information to really elevate our community and bring more community pride?
Yeah, I was seeing all the pictures from yesterday, and I thought that was really cool. You guys were out because at the Marlin Grand Home, they actually have people. Did they have people dress up the whole day, or
No.
no?
And that would be my feedback, Shelley, just so you know. I'm going to put that in my feedback. Seeing people dressed up as those characters really, it resonates with you. It really sinks in to understand that era, that experience that these people that they're representing had. So, no, they didn't the entire time, but they did in some aspects. The whole day was amazing, don't get me wrong. But that, I think, would be really awesome to have. Yeah, for sure.
People all dressed up. 'Cause, yeah, you guys were all over town, it seemed like.
Yes, yeah. So we went to the Marlin Grand Home. We went to I'm terrible. I have a terrible memory, so I'm not going to be. You may need to cut this part out. We went to the Wentz pool and learned about Lou Wentz, I think was his name. We went to in front of City Hall and learned about some of the history of downtown. We went to Standing Bear, and that was amazing just to learn more about where Standing Bear came from and that whole experience of the Native Americans coming here. I definitely want to go back to that museum and see that exhibit. And Standing Bear is coming up, I think, the 26th and 27th, and I absolutely want to go and just be a silent observer and just see what that, obviously I've experienced Native American culture, but not in that spiritual aspect. And I definitely, being in this position, want to go and soak that in. So,
I saw you guys were even at the little fountain thing on South
yes,
Street.
And that's where I'm like, I can't even be.
I don't know what that's called.
I know. B.S. Barnes, okay?
Oh,
He was our very first mayor.
Okay.
And so, that is where his story began in that part of the tour that we went on.
Okay.
And so that was, Rich Cantillion. He was B.S. Barnes, and he gave our entire tour on the bus with us. And he is, a character, that's for sure. But he was a great educator on all the things that have happened, and just making sure we left with the knowledge as leaders that we needed to have. So that entire experience was great. Like leadership, I recommend to anybody that wants to make a difference in this community, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So from the time that you first started volunteering with the Northern Oklahoma Humane Society to now, what do you think has been some of the biggest changes that you've seen?
I mean, I think some of the biggest changes that I've seen was just, I don't know, that's hard to say. I mean, it's only hard to say because of, thinking about how everyone is perceiving what I'm saying. So, I think the biggest changes that have been made is how we, as an organization, what's the word I'm looking for? How we are stewards of these animals in the community, and how we have to make that the focus of what we're doing. These animals are not our own, so we can't treat them that way. These animals are coming from very vulnerable situations, and we have to educate ourselves on how to interact with them, how we can care for them, what is in their best interest, not in, how do we save them from these situations necessarily, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it, I guess. From my perspective and my experience, the community just expects us to save them all. Obviously, we have, talked about that a lot, but it's not realistic. That's not realistic. And so what we've really done as an organization is make sure that we are, we know who we are, and we're still working on that, as a board and, staff, but understand that our capacity for care is what is the priority. We want to help every animal. We want to, make sure we move them from animal control because they're open admission and they pretty much have to take what comes their way. And we don't want them to have to euthanize adoptable animals. But as our shelter, who really takes on the, rehabilitation and the expenses of making sure that they get vetted before they go out to the public, we have to slow down in order to give the best care that we can. And so that's kind of been a hard thing to do, was slow down in order to ensure that we have a strong foundation, because we're the Ponca City Humane Society, and they did all of that renovating of the facility. And we're Northern Oklahoma Humane Society now. So the intention is to be a regional organization. But until we, are strong within our foundation, our protocols, and all of those things, we can't effectively do that. And so that's kind of been the focus. And we're just getting there. And so I know that was a lot, so you may have to cut that out.
Sure.
Because it may not hit with everybody. But that has been my personal biggest, change, I guess.
Yeah, because I think that that's something that, is a misconception, is that, you're just the place where we take our pets when we don't want them.
Yeah.
And that is not what your job is.
That is literally not. The shelter is the last place an animal should go, right? So an animal that is stray obviously has no one to advocate for them. Because of the law, a 72-hour stray hold, and I may be misquoting this, so please take all of this with a grain of salt.
Sure.
Go and find the information. Look into our ordinances and know for sure. But in my experience, these animals need to be on a 72-hour stray hold, so they go to animal control, right? We have to put the more vulnerable populations as a priority for us. That's the nursing mothers, puppies and kittens that are abandoned, those that need medical attention. But even those cases, if we don't have the funds to cover those costs, we can't prioritize that, right? We are solely dependent on our community to fund us. And I'm telling you, we are not being supported in that way, not to the extent of what needs to be done, not to cover our basic operational expenses. So when people, and you're always going to have haters, but when people want to go on social media and say we're not doing what we can, that is literally the furthest thing from the truth. And the interesting thing and the irony is, it's always people that have never been to the facility. They've never supported us in, ensuring that we have what we need to get the job done. Yeah. So, it's tough. It's a lot of work, and it's really draining. Yeah, and that's just a tangent that I went on. This is how I am.
Yeah. Well, it's something that you're very passionate about.
Yeah, for sure.
The care of animals is a very passionate thing, and it's not something that you can just sort of be lukewarm about, right?
No, and I never want to shame or, be hateful to people that don't get it, but often that's what it is, The population is not educated on animal welfare and what the capabilities are of the people who work at the shelter. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that I could ask for is just grace and understanding. If you genuinely want to help, be a part of the solution. Don't just assume that we're all idiots just doing the worst things to these animals. That's not even true at all. And that's the same thing for animal control. They are tasked with a difficult job. And people need to be more responsible pet owners. Point blank, period. Yeah. End of the story. Sure. If that was happening in this community, we wouldn't be in this position. Is there work that could be done as a community to, hold people to those ordinances that we create? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But, it starts with the pet owners.
Yeah. So one thing that we talked about that, like you were saying, support is such an important part of this. Mm-hmm. And you have an Amazon wish list that people can sort of get on there and help you out a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So on our website, nokhs.com, forgive me, I can't remember exactly which tab it is. I think it's under Give, maybe. But people can see our Amazon wish list, our Chewy wish list, and they can help us out in those ways. I do have a list of, just some things that we need regularly around the shelter to help our operations. Kitchen paper towels, obviously. We always need things for cleaning.
Lots of cleaning.
Yes, lots of cleaning. Absolutely. nitrile gloves. I don't know how you say that for sure, but not vinyl, but nitrile, Nitrile. Always need copy paper because we are printing things constantly. Wet cat canned food, obviously dog food as well. Enrichment is a big deal for us because when the animals come in, they are in a new environment, and it's kind of like an acclimation period where they get used to it, and then we have to pull them out of their shell and keep their mind going so that they don't develop regressive behaviors that make them unadoptable. So Kongs and Nylabones are definitely things that we could use. What else? Large 55-gallon trash bags too. So obviously go on the Amazon wish list, Chewy wish list, and see what is directly needed. These are just a few of those things.
And something I was talking about with Dallas when he was here was Pet Sense. Like you guys, it's really easy to donate at Pet Sense. You just walk in, buy us some food. They have food. It's already there. All you have to do is say, yes, I'll donate. And
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they are really great partners with us. They often do fundraisers for us and a few of the other nonprofit organizations in town. I know for myself, I've gone in there to purchase food for my pets or for clients' pets, and they will ask, would you like to donate a bag of food for the local rescues? So that's one of the ways that they do it. They contact us when their bucket is full, and we go and get the bags of food, and that helps us have enough resources for our pet food pantry that we offer to the community. That's on Tuesdays and Fridays, 1 to 4. Basically what that program looks like is when people are struggling and they're unable to afford food for their pets, they can come at those times to receive food to supplement what they currently have and to help them get through that difficult time.
Yeah, and something, like Dallas and I, in the last episode, we had a long conversation about how that program helps to retain pets in homes. Because a lot of times people, when they run out of money, they can't pay for food for themselves, much less their dog.
Yeah.
The first thought is, I have to get rid of this dog.
Yes, exactly. I mean, that is the first thing that typically happens when pets are in the home. They're the ones that suffer because people don't have the means to take care of them. Yes. I mean, basically everything you just said. Yeah. So whenever people are struggling, the animals suffer and they end up having to come to shelters because people see that as the only option. So in order to provide the food, we kind of take out that worry so that they can feel more secure about keeping the animals in their homes.
Yeah. And I think that's a great program. Like I said, anytime that you can keep those pets, whatever you can do to help them sort of over that hump, I think is a fantastic way of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can't do that without the donations from the community. So Pet Sense, definitely helps us keep that food replenished, and people can donate food at any time.
Yeah. My thing, and I always confess this to Dallas, I buy the treats because I think they need treats. Like, they just need all the treats.
Well, I mean, treats are great. Absolutely.
Sure.
But it's like a human, hello, I need to lose weight. There are calories in animal food as well.
Sure.
So we don't want to overindulge them.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, treats are great. We still give the animals treats. But we try to do it, to associate with behaviors, to make it a training experience rather than just, I'm eating, you're eating, kind of thing. So
kind of like what happens in my house.
I mean, it happens in everybody's house. Let's be honest. Yeah.
I'm having a hot dog. You're having a hot dog.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, since we're talking about fundraising, let's talk about your big giant fundraising you have going on. Because we talked about Greenwood Aerospace sponsors Northern Oklahoma Humane Society, and they're sponsoring this podcast. Tell me about the great program that they have going on right now that you guys are doing some fundraising for.
Yeah, so Chuck and Susie Greenwood and Greenwood Aerospace have donated the ATV side-by-side. It's a 2023 Wildcat. I can't remember all of the specifics. I apologize. But it's an amazing ATV that only has 2 miles. The value is $24,999. And we are raffling it off as a prize, and the drawing is on September 22nd.
Nice.
Sorry. September 27th.
27th.
Yes. So you can find more information on our website and Facebook. Facebook and social medias are at NOK Humane with more details there. But yeah, we are so appreciative of their donation because, again, we can't do what we do without support of the community. So this fundraiser means a lot to us. Chuck and Susie Greenwood and the whole Greenwood family have been, legacy supporters of Northern Oklahoma Humane Society. I mean, before, when it was Ponca City Humane Society.
Sure.
So, we would not be where we are without that family. That is a fact. And we are so appreciative of everything that they continue to do for us. And this fundraiser, is something that we definitely need support from the community. It's a great way to give back, and also, have the opportunity to win this amazing ATV. Like I said, it's only got 2 miles on it. The resale value, if you want to resell it, is amazing. And it's a lot of fun. We took it to Smith Home Furnishing, the fundraiser that they did. And obviously I was too scared to get behind the wheel, but one of our employees did, and it's got a lot of kick to it. Okay. It's a 2-seater. It's definitely fun for those adventurous people. It is not street legal, but
it's not.
It's not.
I thought it was. Okay.
Yeah, it's not street legal. There is an opportunity. Obviously, you can make it street legal. There's a few modifications that need to be done to it.
Okay.
But given the fact that it's got a lot of kick to it, I don't know that you want to drive it on the streets. I don't know, but that's I'll let the owner decide.
If you're somebody that has a need for speed, I think that all of your vehicles are probably that way.
Well, that's very true. And again, people who have experience driving those things, this is a great one to have for sure. It's very comfortable, and it definitely gets the job done. So
sure. So something that you guys did recently is you set up some ticket packages because the tickets are $100.
Yes.
And that gets you one ticket. Mm-hmm. But if you would like to buy more, they have a couple of different options you can do. It looks like you can do 3 for $275. You could do 5 for $450 or 10 for $750, and that's a pretty big savings on those ticket packages. And again, every one of those gets into the drawing for that ATV, that Arctic Wildcat. And I believe, because I wrote the story about it in this month's issue, $24,000 is the retail value.
Yeah, $24,999.
Yeah, so it's a pretty amazing deal. And with only 300 raffle tickets being sold, your chances of winning are pretty good.
Great, yeah, absolutely. And right now the ATV is at the shelter. It's tucked nicely in our lobby, right in front of our front desk. So if you want to come and check it out and see what that looks like, definitely come see. Envision yourself in the driver's seat. We also will be at Walmart on the 21st. I think that's a Sunday. We will be parked out front selling those tickets, as well as, asking for donations for the pets. But that's another opportunity for people to come out and see it in person. Yeah. And see what that looks like. So
no test driving around the parking lot?
No. No. Not until you, that's in your possession can that happen. I'm sorry.
So you're not down for the whole going fast and driving crazy?
I mean, yes, absolutely. But I should not be the one in control of the driver's seat. Okay. I mean, that's for sure. Just because that's a lot. And, knock on wood, I tend to be accident prone. And so,
not
putting me out in the wilderness by myself, and that's another story.
Not putting you in a car that has no doors.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty exciting, and it's a fantastic thing that's Greenwood Aerospace donated to you guys.
Absolutely.
And did that. There's been some other changes going on. Speaking of social media, with the Northern Oklahoma Humane Society. Tell me a little bit about your newest addition to the team.
Yeah, so social media has always been something that has been a struggle, for us to consistently, have somebody taken over, because we have a small staff. There are 4 full-time, and myself, I'm part-time. And so being able to have the time to do all of the things that's required on social media, it's always been a struggle for me to have a consistent person. Heather Kazada, she's one of our new volunteers, and she's taken that on, and she's done an amazing job helping to, shift the narrative of the Humane Society and really use social media as an educational piece. I think she's done a great job with that. And it takes responsibility off of the staff when they're primarily able to focus on the direct care and operations of the shelter. So yeah, I'm excited to have her help.
Because I think now, like, even, I don't know, marketing has just changed so much over the years.
Yes.
You know, and before it was like, oh, you could have a social media page, but you could also have all these other things. But I think now more than ever, it is so important for nonprofits and small businesses to have that social media presence. But we're also living in a time, I think, of social media saturation. People are just over it. And so being able to create those narratives, like you said, is just really important. Because one of the things you guys are doing is really showcasing the individual animals, and I really like that. How has that helped?
Yeah, I think it has increased our engagement for sure. We've seen our follower numbers increase. And, you know, I don't want to dive too deep in this because this is not something I have a lot of knowledge about personally. But yeah, I think it has had a direct impact. We have shown a lot of the animals that have been adopted. And one of the conversations I had with her was, you know, making sure that we get our needs as well, because though we are getting adoptions, you know, we're still struggling. You know, we don't want it to look like we're, you know,
hunky-dory.
Exactly. Hunky-dory. I love that word. Makes me think of Kathy Hilton, which, you know, is just great. Anyways, yeah, so we don't want it to look like we're just thriving and we don't need support. So, you know, she's been able to, you know, promote our ATV that we need to sell tickets for, also our wish lists, the animals that are still adoptable. We also partner with the Ponca City Chamber, and they do the adoptable pet of the week, as well as some of the other local outlets. And that's been very helpful, because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for, to get these animals adopted, and putting them out in front of the public helps them to have more visibility. But yeah, you know, social media is very crucial. That's where everybody, I mean, as much as I stay off of social media, when I'm, you know, relaxing, sometimes that's where I find myself. So everybody's attention, most people's attention is on social media.
Yeah, I'm with you. I won't go into because I can nerd out completely talking about marketing.
Well, I know.
So I won't go into that very deeply. But yeah, I think it is very important. You mentioned that, you know, earlier that fundraising is just such an important part of what you do and what goes on.
Yeah.
Tell us how we can help support, in addition to, you know, I'm probably not going to buy tickets to the
Sure.
ATV because, like you, I'm kind of scared to drive something like that.
Yeah.
But I still want to support, and I still want to be proactive.
Yeah.
How can I do that?
Yeah, so we have, so on our website, nokhs.com/give, there are different options that people can, you know, give a one-time donation. They can sign up for monthly donations. We also have our Roundup program. That's another thing that I was talking to Heather about, you know, revamping, just showing people how easy it is it's like a set it and forget it program. So you link your debit or credit cards that you use online, you know, in person, to the Roundup program, and whenever you make a purchase, like say something costs, you know, $8.75, so that 25 cents left over is rounded up to a monthly amount that is then donated to us. It's secure, it's an easy, you know, 2-step or 2-minute process. And you know, if we had 800 people that gave, oh, here we go with my math, 800 people, you know, that gave $10 a month, you know, you do the math, obviously, but that's a lot of money, and it doesn't take much for people to get involved. So, you know, that's one of the opportunities that I think is missed for people that really are passionate about keeping this vital organization going, you know, getting hooked up with something like that and just not having to think about it too much. You know, I get it. We're all busy and we want to help, and we don't have the time to do that. So finding those ways for all of these organizations is, you know, definitely the way to do it.
Nice. And so we were talking, the drawing for the ATV is going to be August 27th. Is there a specific time of day you're going to do it, or are you going to make a hubbub of it?
So
is it just going to be like pull a number out of a hat and call it a day?
Well, you know, we had discussed making it this big event, but all my nonprofit people will understand, like, it's exhausting, you know, to do these fundraisers, especially when you're an organization that is hands-on with what you're doing. You know, it's a lot to have to continue to ask for money.
Yep.
That's just the way that the game is. But, if we can just get your money and do a drawing, that's ideal. Obviously we want to do something fun, so we'll have a Facebook Live, and we're going to have it at Odie's, and we're going to have the ATV there so people can come and see it for one last stop. We've talked about possibly having food or something to making it an event, but we just definitely want to keep it simple because, it's a lot to continue to have fundraisers all year. And, the work...
These fundraisers cost money.
Yeah, they cost money.
Yeah.
I mean, they absolutely do. Well, they do.
They do. Yeah.
And, the minimal cost that we can have, the more money we're able to put towards our mission and towards the animals.
Okay. So what time is that going to take place? Do you know? Or have you said anything like that yet?
So September 27th at Odie's, we're going to do a Facebook Live. We'll have the ATV there. It's from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So we will do the drawing at 8 p.m.
Okay.
And
Are you making all this up in your head as we go?
No, but as I'm saying that, I'm like, it's from 6 to 9, and then we have a Facebook Live. So I would say from 6 to 8 is when we're going to have the event. At 8 o'clock, we are doing the drawing. If you want to, hang out with us afterwards, you're more than welcome. We'll be there till about 9 o'clock.
Maybe they'll give you free rides.
Maybe. Well, I'm not. Maybe the winners will. They'll gloat as they're driving around in their new ATV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and Odie's is right close to the lake out there.
Yeah,
so
it's off of Lake
just
Road.
To jump over to the lake.
Yeah, exactly. You'll be out of city limits, no big deal.
You can have a lot of fun.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Well, Justin, thank you so much for joining us
you.
today. Again, I want to give a shout out to Greenwood Aerospace for continually to support and add funding to the Northern Oklahoma Humane Society. They're a proud supporter, and they're also a proud supporter of this podcast. So thank you guys for joining us. Be back next week. We're going to have a lot of fun. Justin, thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah.